The Israeli military has warned residents of southern Lebanon not to return to dozens of villages until further notice, despite the ceasefire. A military spokesman stated that residents would be at risk of attack by Israeli forces if they attempted to return home. The announcement designates a no-go zone through the villages of Shib'a, Hebraya, Marja'yun, Arnaoun, Yuhmur, El-Qantara, Shaqra, El-Barashit, Yatar and El-Mansouri. The historic port of the southern Lebanese city has slowly returned to life following the ceasefire reached this week between Israel and Hezbollah. The war between Israel and Hezbollah escalated 2 months ago, and an Israeli military siege prevented fishermen from sailing off the coast of southern Lebanon. Some fishermen said that the Lebanese army informed them that if they chose to sail, they would do so at their own risk. The New York Times has reported that the recent Israel-Hezbollah ceasefire heavily relies on the Lebanese army to enforce peace, including securing a buffer zone and preventing arms smuggling. International support from the United States and France aims to aid the mission with 10,000 Lebanese deployed. However, Lebanon's army is stretched thin, with Hezbollah far exceeding its own, and political divisions within the government hinder effective action. The army's capability to confront Hezbollah remains uncertain. While UN peacekeepers will assist, the Lebanese army is central to maintaining stability. Analysts warn that Lebanon's economic crisis and military constraints may jeopardize the ceasefire's long-term success. Providing more analysis about the latest developments in Lebanon concerning the ongoing tensions, joining us from Beirut, retired Brigadier General Saeed Al-Qazah, a strategic expert. Mr. Saeed, welcome to Qnews. We're glad to have you with us. First off, with escalating attacks and Israeli incursions, how realistic is the Lebanese ceasefire agreement's longevity?
Good evening to you and to your viewers. It seems that the agreements that were reached regarding a ceasefire in Beirut in the south of Lebanon, there is like 60 days have been put as a trial period, and to see how both sides will be committed to ceasefire. The Israeli forces, since the first day of the ceasefire, started by preventing the people from coming back to the villages that the Israelis occupied. It is 700 to 800 square kilometers on the border line between Shib'a and Natura. This is first, and Israel is shooting whomever is trying to return to his hometown or to move within that region and within these villages that Israel announced as a no-go zone for the people, and this is the place where the Israeli forces are still occupying. On the other side, till now, Israel has made 3 targeting operations, which Israel claims to be one on Bisariya near Sidon, which is on the north of the Litani River. They said they attacked an ammunition and missiles warehouse for Hezbollah, exploding it. And today, Israel had another targeting of some elements, and Israel gave a video of some elements who were filling a car with ammunition and some weapons as well. So Israel bombarded the car in that area. Maybe yesterday evening or the day or the time before, there was an attack on the Syrian-Lebanese borders on what Israel claimed to be trucks carrying ammunition coming from Syria. So within these 60 days, Israel is starting and actually breaching the agreement, and there's probably some agreement between Israel and the US that Israel getting certain points without going back to the committee that has been formed, headed by an general to be in the international forces in Lebanon. If this kind of truce or this kind of it's a truce actually, and I believe the truce will sustain because Hezbollah will not be responding to the Israeli provocations or the Israeli breaches, because Hezbollah came to a point convinced that it has to stop firing just to stop the bloodshed of the people and the environment that is around it in the area, in order to save what's remnant of Lebanon after all the destruction that happened in Lebanon.
Sir, sorry for interrupting you, but taking into consideration the political aspect alongside the military instability, the preparedness of the Lebanese army remains a major issue. What role can Lebanon's government and army play in enforcing peace?
After the 60 days truce, the Lebanese army will go into the villages that is occupied by Israel because of the incursions by Israel. So the Lebanese army will go into this area, and at that time, within the 60 days, should be a full withdrawal from the area south to the Litani River. So when the Lebanese army is convinced and that there is no more presence, no more illegal presence of Hezbollah, the Lebanese army will be the only one in charge of peace and protecting the borders of that area. And this will be the responsibility of the Lebanese army after 60 days to defend these borders and to secure these borders. It will be the responsibility of protection and defending of Lebanon, the Lebanese army. And this should be the case for all the Lebanese territories, not only to the south of Litani. So in the near future, it's supposed to be like this, according to the agreement reached and according to the paper agreed upon by the Americans and the Israelis and signed by the Lebanese cabinet. After this period, there will be a dismantling of the infrastructure of Hezbollah, starting from the south of Litani River to be including all the Lebanese territories. So at one point, there should be only one legitimate weapon in Lebanon, and only the Lebanese state that has the control over the peace and war in this area, and the Lebanese army and the forces would be the only one, according to the constitution and according to the Taif agreement, that it is the one that does the security there. Naim Qasim, the current Secretary General of Hezbollah, says it's going to be Hezbollah will be committed to a Taif agreement. The Taif agreement actually says that it should be only in the hands of the government.
Sir, sorry for interrupting you, but speaking of Hezbollah, which accuses Israel of attacking those that try to return to the border villages in southern Lebanon, how do you assess Hezbollah's potential response to Israel's repeated violations of the ceasefire agreement?
Hezbollah would not be responding to the Israeli breaches because it's clear now that in the area occupied by the Israeli army now, it's not reasonable that the Lebanese inhabitants will go back to this area because there are hostile troops, Israeli troops. So the Lebanese people will not go there to be arrested or to be taken hostage. So it's an occupied area. So the inhabitants should not be returning to this area. The Israeli enemy is considering whomever tries to enter into this area as a suspect element. And on the first night truce, Israel killed 6 citizens who wanted to go back during the night to their homes. So this area is an occupied area, and people should not be back to it.
Sir, regarding Israel's recent airstrike on the Lebanese-Syrian border you've mentioned, is that an Israeli attempt to expand the range of the war and the conflict?
No, it's not the first time that Israel does this. It's not the first time that the Israel does that. Since the beginning of the Israeli war in Lebanon, or after the Beijing incident, even before the Aqsa flood, the Israeli planes were attacking certain points in Syria that are centers for the militias hezbollah.
Yes, sir, I'm asking about the timing of this targeting, the timing that it shows to the ceasefire agreement. Is this attempt a way to expand the range of war?
It is not an attempt to expand the war, because the war was not expanded with Syria. Syria is committed that there will be no war on its territory against Israel. And Syria is trying to stop any kinds of supplies of weapons and ammunition to Lebanon. And here we need to distinguish between the agreement that is including the Lebanese territories, but the agreement did not include Syrian territory. As before, still wants on the Syrian territories, not seeing this as a breach to the agreement with, because the agreement has Lebanon with the Lebanese cabinet, but there is no agreement with Syria. So Israel will continue attacking the Iranian militias in Syria.
For its citizens not to return to the upper and western Galilee. What does this indicate about the continuity of the ceasefire?
Could you please repeat the question? I
was asking about the Israelis its citizens in the north not to return to the upper and western Galilee. Indicate about the continuity of the ceasefire.
You mean going back to the north of Palestine, to the Jalili areas, to the Jalili? Of course, Israel will not return the Israeli citizens to the northern settlements before being totally assured that the agreement is respected and that the elements of Hezbollah.
Sir, are you with me? Sir, can you hear me? Are you still with us? Looks like we've lost him due to a technical problem. That was Brigadier General Said Al-Qazah. Thank you so much for joining us on this special coverage. In the Lebanese capital, Beirut, some residents have expressed their hopes over a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah. Under the ceasefire terms, Israeli forces can remain in Lebanon for 6 days. Tens of ceasefire occurred by American and French officials took effect at dawn on November 27, 2024, offering hope to the displaced people who had fled their homes due to the violence of the war. Residents of Baalbek in Lebanon's Bekaa Valley have been seen assessing the full extent of the damage. Multiple strikes before the ceasefire. So far, Lebanese authorities have reported that around 3,800 people have been killed in the ongoing hostilities. Israeli 40 people and wounded another 1,520 in the Baalbek Hermel region, according to Bashir Khudr, the governor. This amounts to almost a quarter of the country-wide death toll announced so far by the Lebanese government. The Guardian has reported that as the ceasefire takes effect, Nabateya, one of southern Lebanon's hardest hit cities, begins the daunting task of rebuilding. Locals such as Wafiq Jaber's sweet shop are facing immense financial losses with little state support, relying on personal efforts for recovery. The government's repair is slow, with the city's infrastructure devastated and key municipal officials killed in airstrikes. The process is further complicated by the absence of local government resources, forcing residents to fend for themselves. Despite ongoing challenges and the looming risk of renewed conflict, Nabateya's residents remain determined to rebuild, though the road to recovery remains uncertain. Providing more analysis about the latest developments about the situation in Lebanon, joining us from Beirut, Rachel Karam, Lebanese journalist. Ms. Rachel, welcome to Qnews. We're glad to have you with us. So, with Israeli airstrikes intensifying, with Israel claiming that it targets Hezbollah facilities, Lebanon's ceasefire.
Ceasefire at the moment is bound to the committee that includes France, US, UNIFIL, and the Lebanese army and the Israeli army. Now the American general has arrived into Lebanon, and we are waiting for the French envoy. So this committee will start supervising the ceasefire and supervising the implementation of the agreement till the French envoy comes. And with the American already here, we are hoping that there will be a stop of the Israeli breaches. If there is no guarantee, if there is no foreign guarantee to restrain the Israeli occupation from what they are doing, so we would be going to a full break of this ceasefire. But still, we are still more relying on the possibility of going on with this ceasefire so as not to open another front. But the international community has to restrain the Israeli enemy on this matter.
So, reference to the political developments taking place inside Lebanon, including electing a new president. In light of this, what are the long-term economic and social consequences of rehabilitating northern Lebanon after the war?
Practically, the Speaker of the Parliament, Nabih Berri, decided the date for a session on the 9th of January, 1 week and 1 month from now. During that time, there is a lot of things to be done in order to assess what are the damages and the things in the agriculture and everything, till the new president elected on the 9th of January. Lebanon will be forming a government, and this government should be working with all political parties in Lebanon to sit to a dialogue table to study the defense strategy for Lebanon, to know about Hezbollah weapons and the Lebanese army, and how to match between the two in order to have enough protection of Lebanon in the. So it's is elected and the political process starts to go on with relevant military decisions.
Mm-hmm. And given the scale of destruction in southern Lebanon in particular, how can Lebanon's health infrastructure cope with the growing demand for aid and treatment?
Regarding the health requirements, not the real thing in need now, and it's not the problem at the moment. there are martyrs, there are wounded people, but the real thing about the people who managed to go back to their villages to the south of Beirut, Lebanon, and those who lost their homes or lost whatever property. These people are relying on their relatives, their neighbors, waiting for the Lebanese state to be enumerating these damages and these losses so as to see if there is a solution bound to the Lebanese state and how to deal with the reconstruction and the other countries that will be contributing to the reconstruction. Till now, it's not clear which countries will be doing this. Are they waiting for the 60 days to expire and then decide to see if there will be a problem? We have to wait and see. But the problem, the basic problem, not the health sector. It is about the housing for the people and shelters for the people.
Now, considering air raids which started to result in civilian casualties, what measures can Lebanon take to ensure the protection of its civilians?
It is supposed, at the time being, it is supposed that we are waiting for this supervisory committee to be monitoring the ceasefire so as to stop the Israelis from the breaches. The Lebanese army and the UNIFIL and the American and supervision would be the ones that can stop the breaches by Israel. After the against Lebanon in 2006, there has been 5 days of breaching the ceasefire after reaching a ceasefire. So we need to wait more. So the Lebanese side, be it Hezbollah or the Lebanese army, they don't want to respond to the Israeli violence because they are limited, because they are waiting for the committee and the envoys from US and France. But if Israel continues, the raids and the breaches are more land incursion and stuff, there will be another stage. It will be a decisive week to see whether this ceasefire will hold or not, or more military escalation, but it's likely that the ceasefire will continue.
That was Rachel Karam, Lebanese journalist from Beirut. Thank you so much for your insights. Thank you so much. That wraps up our special coverage for today. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more updates on Q News.